All right, so that's one. We both have the same number one of Mahomes and Reed. Who's your number two?
Number two would be Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh, even though I think there is a drop-off right there just from 1 to 2, especially in the coaching side. I think Harbaugh is a good, not great coach. Reed is a great coach, but that's the number two tandem.
Yeah, they're number three for me. My number two was Dan Campbell and Jared Goff.
Wow.
I put them at number two because Campbell, I think, has now established himself as a very good, if not great, coach in the NFL. And I think Jared Goff in Detroit has really come a long way from what he was in L.A. and is now – we always, and I know you don't love him, but I think that you can't really look at what he's done here in the body of work and not consider him a top quarterback in the league. So I know he's not going to win the MVP this year or anything. He was in the running, and he has been terrific. I mean, really, he's exactly what that team needs.
I would like
I put them together
to put a pin in that so we can revisit that to talk about both guys next year after Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson leave.
Yeah,
I think both
that's fair, yeah.
are propped up products of the coordinators. I think Dan Campbell's a good coach. I think Jared Goff's an average quarterback, and I think both could get exposed next year.
Okay, so who's your number three then?
My number three is the quarterback I think very much deserves to be here, Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. And it's being heavily carried, in my opinion, by Josh Allen. But I also got to give Sean McDermott he just keeps winning the AFC East. Like, he keeps just getting the job done. And some would say, well, he's got the best quarterback. Why don't you check in with Zach Taylor and what he's doing in Cincy? He's got a great quarterback and better weapons.
Yeah.
And he can't win. So I got to give Sean McDermott some credit, I guess. So, yeah, that's my number three spot.
Okay. I have him in my top five, but he's not at three. Three for me is Harbaugh and Jackson. It's sort of the same thing. Jackson's tremendous, obviously. I think Harbaugh's good, not great coach, and he has a longer body of work, I'd say, than someone like Campbell, who's kind of emerged and really taken the league by storm here in the last couple of years. Harbaugh is very steady. He's a little like Tomlin in that way, and he's good. But you don't often expect the Ravens to make a deep run there, and that's with one of the best QBs and the best players, best weapons in the entire NFL. So I'd say Jackson props him up there, but they're still a good combination.
I also hold against him sort of the Brady bitch slapping on the Know the Rule book and some of the things he had issues with the Patriots. And also, this is typical Andy overreacting to one minor thing. A couple of years ago, there was, I believe, a playoff game where they scored to either go for two for the win or tie it with a kick. And he asked Mark Andrews, what do you want to do? You want to go for two? And I'm like, you're the head coach. I'm supposed to think you as a Hall of Fame coach, and you're asking the tight end what he wants to do?
Yeah,
you didn't even ask your quarterback. You asked your freaking tight end. So I'm not the biggest Harbaugh fan, but he deserves to be up there. My fourth one?
Yes.
Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford.
It's four for me, too.
McVay is obviously a great young coach, multiple Super Bowls, different quarterbacks, the whole thing, the systems. I give him even credit for preparing coordinators and his offshoots and what they go to do.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford is really good. He's just really good. He even gets away with things that piss off Bill Belichick when he flicks the ball forward and Bill thinks it should be intentional grounding. And that's the one time I've ever agreed with the refs. I had no problem with that call. I thought that was the right call. He pitched it at the feet of Puka Nacua. That's what Peyton Manning made a career of it, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be sacked, throw it at the feet of somebody. So get over yourself, Bill. It's not all about you. Okay. Go ahead.
My four was also McVay and Stafford. I think that you got to look at the body of work there and another trade that was made. And really, it's just the consistency. It's the consistency of McVay, the way they were able to rebuild on the fly, and how Stafford, I think, has just been really – I know he only has the one championship, but he's been a very, very solid NFL quarterback. Like he's awesome. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like he's very, very good, and he's kind of flown. His career's kind of flown under the radar.
Yep. Well, Detroit
in a weird way
does that to you for that time. I also think his overall talents have flown under the radar. Everybody just thinks he gets by with a gun.
Yeah,
and he has a great arm. He's more athletic than people give him credit.
And he's really smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I just think the total package at quarterback, he's kind of got it. My next one is going to be the first controversial one, I believe.
Okay.
Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy.
It's pretty high for them.
Yeah. I have them. If you're keeping track, you had Dan Campbell and Jared Goff too.
Yes.
I have Shanahan and Purdy ahead of them. I think Shanahan is a good coach. I think injuries were an issue this year. I don't think he's a great coach. I just want to be clear on that. There's a reason he's 5 and not up in the top couple.
Right.
And I think Brock Purdy, I just think it's so disrespectful to sort of ignore the winning. And I know he's got talent around him, and I know he's paired up with a good coach and a scheme and all of that, but he has to do it, and not everybody has been able to do it there. So I got Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan at number 5.
All right, number 5 for me is McDermott and Allen. McDermott drags him down a little bit. Allen boosts him up right there, but I think that my top 5 is really top 5 quarterbacks: Mahomes, Jackson, Stafford, Allen, and Goff, who I'd consider to be probably maybe top 5 in the league right there. I'm weighing more of this on the quarterback, I think, than the coach. I think that's part of it. As I was looking at my list, like I think I'm more sort of QB heavy with this.
Okay.
Because it's easier to evaluate quarterbacks than coaches, right? I mean, you can see their stats, you can see their numbers, you can see what they're doing. With coaches, you have to be watching every single game and see them and know what they're doing in certain situations and all that. And, you know, McDermott, in the games that I've seen against him, he's not a total bozo or anything like that, but he hasn't been super impressive, I guess. You know, that's why they lose to Reed and Mahomes every year. So I have him down at number 5, but I don't know. I feel like that whole top 5 is pretty fluid, other than number 1.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's going to start to tail off, I think, including the point of this exercise when we, at some point, will inject Drake May and Mike Vrabel into this conversation. But not yet. At my 6th spot, I have, I think, another controversial one that the Houston Texans have DeMeco Ryans and C.J. Stroud.
That's mine, too.
Oh, son of a bitch. I wanted it to be
Stroud,
controversial.
Ryans and Stroud. That's my number 6, yeah.
We've spent too much time together.
We really
They
have.
should break us up.
We're on like the same cycle now.
Oh, gross.
It's true. What? Truth hurts.
Hot flow?
That's what happens when a lot of women all live together. They all.
Is that true?
I'm not denying that.
True, yeah.
Why do you know so much about it? Why does Stiz know so much about it? What is going on in this room?
Why do you not?
Yeah, you
I
didn't
think
know
that's
that?
relatively common knowledge.
That is pretty common.
I thought everybody knew that.
I avoid knowledge of anything in that world.
I avoid knowledge.
Wife must love
Put a
that.
stop there.
No, my wife hates it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's why I had a daughter in part, and I'm glad she's now a teenager. Anytime there's like girl talk, you guys go have girl talk. I don't need to know about anything or anyone.
Attaboy, Dad.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway.
Next up, finally a first-year coach that I think some people might have had higher until the playoffs happened. Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And the questions about Herbert, we had a text earlier that was like, you guys, it's only the media that loves Herbert. No, everybody loves Herbert, but everybody is eyes wide open to he's got to start winning playoff games and not making mistakes with the season on the line. And you mentioned Harbaugh, the defense, the whole team kind of came up short in that game. I still think they're a pretty good combo. Like, you can't put Drake May and Mike Vrabel ahead of Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, right?
Right, and I didn't, but yeah.
But like, to me, both of those guys aspire to be the other guy. Like, Vrabel wants to be a program builder, like Jim Harbaugh has proven himself a program builder.
Right.
And we compare Drake May to maybe being Justin Herbert. So I can't put them ahead of those guys.
Yeah, I understand that. I had DeMeco Ryans and Stroud there as well in my top 6. And I don't know. After that, I have LaFleur and Jordan Love. So there's
that's
I know
high.
I have them high. And
Did you
I know
watch Love the other day?
I
He
did.
sucked.
I saw him burn out. I did see that. But I think in terms of the combination of what they are, they had a very good season. LaFleur had a very good season. Love had a very good season. They had a bad playoff game. That's true. But I do think that if you're a Packers fan, there's problems with what you saw, obviously. And Love, I thought, had terrible body language in that game. But a season like that, I mean, to watch your team go through a season like that in that division, it's not easy to do.
No.
And I think that they still have heights that they can reach. So I put them a little higher.
So here is where I slide in your guys, Campbell and Goff. You have them at number 2. I have them at number 8. So I'll just skip right to my next one. Sean Payton and Bo Nix, I have at number 9.
Okay.
Which could be
It's higher than I am.
Yep, and it could be a precursor to something interesting. Can I give you my number 10 before I pass the baton?
Go ahead.
The 10th best coach-quarterback combo in the National Football League, Mike Vrabel and Drake May.
All right. Top 10.
You're top 10, New England. The most important things in football, that combo, you are top 10. You might have earned the number 1 pick, but this is a new season. You're top 10, baby.
How about that? Top 10.
You didn't like that, huh?
No, I mean, listen, I wasn't surprised by it. You'd have Vrabel as one of the all-time great Patriots coaches already, and he hasn't coached a single game yet, so I'm not at all surprised that you have him that high. I don't have him that high yet, and it's because mostly of May. I hate to say it. Like, I think May had a good rookie season, not a great one. I'm not sure what Mike Vrabel's going to be as a team on a team with him, and if those two personalities are going to clash and mesh well or not. It's going to be different rating them as opposed to teams that we don't cover every day, because we're not going to see those relationships and how they sort of foster themselves over the course of the year. We will see that with Vrabel and May. I had them lower than that. My number 9 was Quinn and Daniels. And number 10, I have Harbaugh and Herbert. So those are rounding out my top 10 there. I think that Quinn and Daniels getting to the playoffs and then winning a playoff game. You get a lot of points for that, for sure. And for Harbaugh and Herbert, it's kind of the same thing. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be good in L.A. Herbert, he did lose a bunch of his weapons, but had a good regular season and then came out in the playoffs and laid a big egg there. Maybe that's just the book on him. But, again, now that he has a real coach, let's see what they can do together. I think that the future's bright for them, just like I think it is for Green Bay. At 11, I had Taylor and Burrow. And it was, again, boosted up there by Joe Burrow. He carries this one, and I think puts them past some other combos where the coach might be a little better, because I don't think much of Zach Taylor.
No,
but when you have a guy like Burrow, I'm sorry, that you grade on a curve. You have to.
And this is where I really started to struggle. And you talked about, what do you weigh more, the coach or the quarterback? Right. And it's like, because I had Zach Taylor and Burrow at 13, I think, and I couldn't think any more highly of Joe Burrow.
Right.
But I think Zach Taylor is the reason they don't make the playoffs. Zach Taylor is the reason why they start slow every season. Zach Taylor is a bad head coach. For example, my number 11 is Mike Tomlin and question mark. And I
have Tomlin. Wilson was that's how I ranked him. But yeah.
But I think Mike Tomlin is a really good coach, a Hall of Fame caliber coach. I have to give him credit for the way he's succeeded and I know in Pittsburgh they might look at this differently, because there was talk of, should he be out, should they trade him? Now he poo-pooed that talk very quickly.
All right, we don't have to go through these whole
let's
lists,
go to the end.
It's getting pretty
I'd
bad.
rather
Let me
go to the end.
You got to May and Vrabel. How about I go down the list of mine until I get to them?
Jesus,
okay?
How long is this going to take?
Not too long.
You hater.
At 11, Taylor and Burrow. Then I got Bowles and Mayfield at 12, Peyton Nix 13, Tomlin Wilson 14, O'Connell Darnold 15, McDaniel Tua 16, Vrabel May 17.
I don't care for any of this.
No?
The O'Connell, Darnold, screw them. Darnold had one great year because of the coach. So I can give you the coach.
Right.
The quarterback's a fraud.
Fine.
We all know he's a fraud.
But he had a good season.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
He may not be the quarterback there next year either. And
who would have had a better season if Drake May played for the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson?
Drake May certainly would have,
okay,
I think.
Thank
but
you.
Yeah. So what?
Anyway.
You could say that about a lot of these guys.
Now, can we do the back end?
Sure.
Or did you not do the back end?
I did the back end, but a lot of them I wasn't sure how to rank them because there's no coach or quarterback in some of these instances. Like the Jets, for example. I don't know who the coach or quarterback is. I don't know who either one is on the Raiders. And what was the other one? There was
Saints
one
I have down there.
Saints, yeah.
Those are my bottom
not really
three.
Sure, okay.
Raiders, Jets, and Saints, because I don't know who the coach or quarterback of any of those teams are, and I don't think it's going to work out well. The last two teams I had that actually have, I'm not sure they both have quarterbacks, but the fourth to the bottom, I had Callahan and Will Levis, and the fifth to the bottom, I had Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson.
Okay.